Cactus Queen. Minerva Hoyt establishes Joshua Tree National Park. Written by Laurie Alexander. Pictures by Jen Ellie. This desert possessed me, and I constantly wished that I might find some way to preserve its natural beauty. Minerva Hoyt. Minerva tapped her foot and checked her watch. She was leaving Pasadena, California with more than just her luggage. Minerva traveled with prickly plants and twisted trees, stuffed jackrabbits, woodpeckers, and coyotes. As a young girl, Minerva lived in Mississippi, far from the cacti and coyotes of the California desert. She loved outdoor adventures and long chats with friends. In school, Minerva raised her hand high, never afraid to say what she thought. Words had power, and ideas could make a difference. When Minerva grew up, she married Dr. Albert Hoyt. In 1897, they moved to Pasadena, California, near Los Angeles. Minerva didn't know a single person there. Could an outdoor adventure help? Minerva hosted a party among the dazzling blooms of her sprawling garden. She enjoyed long chats with new friends. When Minerva needed a break from the buzzing city, she took trips, first by horse and wagon, later by automobile. Her favorite place was the Mojave Desert. Wide and wondrous, it was unlike anything Minerva had seen before. Joshua trees dotted the desert in every direction. Straight, twisty, short, tall, these strange plants grew nowhere else on earth. Minerva found herself visiting the desert more often, especially after the death of her husband in 1918. She nestled inside her sleeping bag atop the sandy soil. The wind whistled through the Joshua trees. Bright constellations swirled overhead. I stood and looked. Everything was peaceful, and it rested me. In the 1920s, Los Angeles was a city on the go. There were more cars, more roads, more trips to the desert. People loved the scenery so much they wanted to keep some for themselves. Residents dug up Joshua trees, towering palms, fuzzy hoya, spiky yucca, and barrel cacti to keep in their backyards. Many of the desert plants didn't survive their move to city gardens. Down went more Joshua trees. Limbs and trunks were made into fences, corrals, and lightweight furniture, perfect for Hollywood stunts. Nighttime motorists lost on dark roads set fire to the trees to find one another. By the late 1920s, areas of the Mojave had been stripped almost bare. The desert plants never grew back. The desert animals lost their homes. Minerva wanted to help. This saving of the desert, if accomplished at all, must be done quickly, for there is already comparatively little left. But not everyone cared about the desert. Not everyone cared what a woman had to say. Many people thought the desert was a dry wasteland, a place they'd rather pass through than stop and admire. If Minerva wanted to defend the desert, she would need to convince others that it was special, even people who had never seen a desert before. Minerva had a wild idea. She would take a piece of the Southwest east. She called on members of Los Angeles gardening clubs. She called on artists, taxidermists, neighbors, and friends. The desert was headed for New York City. The 1928 International Flower Show bustled inside a grand hall. Minerva arranged a desert display in a space the size of a classroom. But something was missing. Minerva tapped her foot and checked her watch and waited. Delicate cactus blooms were unpacked just in time. Curious guests couldn't stop talking about the strange landscape. Reporters took pictures. They called Minerva's exhibit the Spirit of the Desert. It won a gold medal. The following spring, Minerva created displays in Boston and London. She won awards. More people were listening to her words. More people were loving the desert. No one who heard her talk could ever again regard the subject of conservation of desert flora with indifference. A fellow environmentalist. While removing plants from their natural environment was the exact thing Minerva was trying to stop, her mission was important. If she could get people to appreciate the desert, she could get them to protect the desert. After the shows, she donated her displays to local museums. Interest in the desert bloomed. The first part of Minerva's plan had taken root. In June 1933, Minerva was ready to pitch the next part of her plan. She wanted to save the desert by calling it a park. Not a small state park, but a well-known national park, 1 million acres in size and protected by federal laws. Minerva sat on the steps of the White House, patiently waiting to be seen by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. She brought 2 photo albums packed with images of the Mojave Desert. She shared her photos. She shared her words. We must see to it that parks are created in which the unique desert atmosphere and its matchless growth and its silence and mystery are preserved for the education and delight of the people. After the meeting, a member of Roosevelt's team assured Minerva, the president is for this. All that remained was a land inspection from Roger W. Toll, superintendent of Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. He would decide if Minerva's desert was worthy of national park status. An icy March wind whipped around the inspector and he shivered. After traveling along miles of dry land, he asked Minerva when they would arrive at her park. Where were the lush green trees, the roaring waterfalls, the crystal lakes? Soon he filed his report. It is believed that the area is not suitable for a national park. It is not the outstanding desert area of the United States. The words prickled like cactus spines. But Minerva didn't give up. Instead, she wrote letters. Many letters. She persuaded others to do the same. Scientists, teachers, politicians, and friends all put pens to paper. Dear National Park Service, please send a new inspector. Someone who understands California. Someone who understands the desert. For 5 months, letters flooded the National Park Service headquarters. A new inspection was scheduled, a second chance for the desert. Assistant Director Harold C. Bryant lived in California. He knew all about desert plants and animals. When he arrived for the tour, he was greeted by Minerva and more than 100 of her supporters. Bryant inspected the land from top to bottom. After 3 days, he agreed Minerva's desert was worth saving. Beautiful and brimming with life.